Well, hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we've got a 2013 GMC Acadia 3.6 direct injected. It's got a check engine light. It runs pretty poorly. It's got a reduced engine power message on the display. So let's get to it. All right, so we're in the car here now, looking through our DTCs here. Looks like we have some mostly fuel pressure related codes. So I think what I want to try to do now is see what the fuel pressure is. So this car is a direct injected, so it'll have a low pressure one in the pump, in the tank, and it'll have a high pressure one that runs on a camshaft on the engine. So usually GM's pretty good about giving you that information in the data list. So let's see if we can find a data list and find that information. So we got a custom data list here. Basically what we're looking for is, so the 399, ordinarily we would be going off PSI. For whatever reason we can't get it to do it on this scan tool, but this is your low pressure fuel. This is what it wants the high pressure side to be. This is what the target pressure is. So this is 399, 400 kilopascals. This is almost 4 megapascals. This is what the actual high pressure is reading. So you can see it's wanting about 4, and it's getting, it's kind of bouncing around between 1 and 2. So it's about half of what it actually wants it to be. Rev it up some. So it's always looking like it's about half at best. So I'm thinking we have a high pressure fuel pump issue at this point. So let's go take a look at that. The high pressure fuel pump is actually down there. So we got to take a couple things off first to get to it. So we're going to take the oil cap off of it. This engine cover just pops up off. And then we're going to go ahead and take this air tube off of it. That's going to be one little push connect type fitting for the PCV hose. And then 2, are those 7s or 8s? 2 8mm on the intake tube itself. And we'll pull it off, and we should have pretty good access to what we're trying to get at. So there's one more cover that's covering. It's this this big plastic guy here. It's only held on by one 10mm bolt. And we'll be able to pull that up out of the way. So now we have good visual here on our, this is our high pressure fuel pump here. So there is a Schrader valve, a test port for low pressure side if you were suspicious of a low pressure fuel pump. I'm really leaning towards it's got a bad high pressure fuel pump. So what we're going to do now is before you mess around with this high pressure stuff, this is under a couple thousand PSI. You want to depressurize this system. The way that you do that is you can either do it with a scan tool and turn the high pressure fuel pump off and then crank the car up until it stalls out, or you can just disconnect the wires that go to, I think there's wires that go to this pump. Yeah, there's wires down right there. You can disconnect the wires that go to the high pressure fuel pump and start the car until it stalls out, and then you'll bleed off your high pressure fuel. We got our fuel pressure bled off. We just did it with a scan tool because that fitting down there, or not the fitting, that connector down there, it's kind of hard to get to. So if you don't have a scan tool, that's the way that you should do it. If you do, we just stuck the intake tube back on it and turned it off with a scan tool and started it. Ran for about 2 seconds, shut off. So now what we're going to do is we're going to start getting these lines off of it. So the lines are hard lines. So this one here, you're going to take it off of both sides, 17 millimeter wrench. You're going to take that off at both sides and take this whole pipe off of it. The other one, this one, the serpentine looking one, this is your low pressure side. That's a 17. It goes on these brackets here that mount to the head. These are 15s. There's one right there, and there is another one right there. We're going to take those two off, leave this connection on here, but that ought to give us enough room to at least get this out of the way to pull that pump that direction and get it out.
Oh my!
Plenty of room. All right, with our lines out of the way, what we're going to do now is the fuel pump's only held on with two 10 millimeter bolts. One of them is right there. The other one is basically 180 on the other side of that. So we're going to take those loose. We still have our electrical connection on, so we're not just going to go yanking on it. We're going to try to ease it out and then get a little bit better access to that. All right, now we'll try to get it out some to be able to get that electrical connector undone. It's got looks like a red locking tab on it. Behind that is a roller, kind of like a lifter type roller that rides on the cam. So let's pull that out. We'll inspect it. We'll look back there at that cam lobe with the mirror to see if we got any kind of mechanical issues. This thing is hot. Man alive, is it hot. All right, so there's our roller. It's looking pretty good. Looks pretty good. So let's go look at it with the magnet and see, or not a magnet, a mirror, and see if that cam lobe looks good. Yeah, that's looking all right. All right, so that's good. So let's throw a fuel pump in it. It's always a good idea to put your parts side by side, make sure that everything looks like they're lining up, everything looks like it's the same. This is a Delphi, which is an OEM manufacturer. The pump itself has an O-ring and a rubber papery type gasket that goes here. When you go to put this roller back on, you see that's got this little alignment notch on it. That'll only go in one way, so that when this roller is doing its thing, it doesn't, kind of get off kilter. So we're gonna put this back in, and we're gonna put the pump back in and start going back together with it. We got our roller back in. Just FYI, the notch is it kind of goes towards the top, so that'll help you index it when you go to put it back in. Should stay there on its own. Ours is playing nice and staying there on its own. If not, it might not be a bad idea to throw some kind of grease or silicone type lube on it to kind of hold it in there. But ours is playing nice for the time being. We'll go ahead and get our pump in it. Pump's in, bolts tight. We'll go ahead and put our electrical connector back on. Hear it click, lock it in. So now we'll go ahead and take those protective thread covers off of it and start getting our lines plumbed back in. It's usually best to just get the line started first, and that way you got a little bit of wiggle room so you can get your bolts that go back in the heads on afterwards. All right, now we'll go ahead and put this high pressure line on. Full disclosure, repair manual says that you are supposed to replace that high pressure fitting, that little line right there. Not the one that we're doing right this second, but the one that goes from there to there. So take that with a grain of salt. We're going to actually put the intake tube back on it first and leave that cover off of it and check it for leaks, and we'll go ahead and check our drivability concerns, look at our PIDs and stuff, make sure that our suspicions were correct. Alright, well, I don't see any leaks anywhere, so let's go look at our data list and see if it's liking what we did. So the car's definitely running better now. Let's take a look at our numbers here. Fuel rail pressure is about the same as what it was. Desired is 4, actual is 4.06. So that's good. That's more than double. That's pretty close to what the target was. We're going to rev it up some, see if it can cope with what we're trying to do. Oh yeah, we're no pun intended, but I think we're cooking with gas now. So before we get it super hot, let's go cut it off and finish putting the rest of it back together, and then we'll go spin around the block, see if we got her done. All right, I think we're going to try to sneak this cover in, leaving the intake tube on it. I feel like we can probably manage that. Well, sneaking that in saved us no time whatsoever. All right, we'll put our main engine cover back on it, and what are you doing? Oh, it's got to rotate. Back from our test drive, everything was good. We had the scans hooked up to it. No codes, all of our monitors ran. We did our readiness test on it. Everything was good. We put those this kind of oddball fuel pressure regulator codes in, made sure that none of those were back. Everything was good. So this one's all done, guys. Scale of 1 to 10, this is like a 2. I'll take these all day, every day. The diagnosis was pretty easy. The repair was super easy. There's no reason that anybody out there watching this video can't do this yourself. This one is definitely one that I'll happily take again. So, like I said, we're going to wrap this one up, call it a day. If you enjoy the content that we're putting out, consider subscribing. We're going to have new content for you guys every week. And with all that being said, we'll see you on the next one.